Okay, welcome to this week's video log with minimal editing. Slightly later than usual, I do apologise for that. So what's been happening in this week in terms of roleplay for me? Well, we've just started using the Tides of Change rules in our current campaign, Terror on the Outer Rim for Edge of the Empire game. And for those of you who don't know, Tides of Change is an online community on Facebook which is administrated by Andre Martinez and other people, and basically the Tides of Change rules are that, amongst other things, that after the second hour of the game you ask people to give a quick summary of what their character's thoughts and feelings are at the time. You then ask them to propose a tide change or a plot twist based on what's currently occurring within the game. Once they've all proposed their plot twists, you have a little break for 10 or 15 minutes. Whilst that's going on, the GM, in this case myself, posts the various suggestions as a poll on Facebook in the Tides of Change group and asks the people watching to vote on which is their favourite. Once the break period's passed, you count up the votes. Whichever one or more, in the case of a tie, have got the most votes is the plot twist that gets implemented into the game system. Now, we've only just started using that and it seems to be fine, although I perhaps didn't use the mechanic quite as smoothly as I could have done, which is a bit of a shame, but we're still getting used to it. I've said to my players we'll give it another 2 or 3 sessions, and if they're still not enjoying it or liking it by then I'll consider jettisoning the mechanic, since my number one priority when I run a game is always to create a game that myself and the players enjoy. It's great if other people enjoy watching it, and I love the whole community feel that Tides of Change has created, encouraging people to interleave their games with each other and communicate about different ideas. In fact, some of the ideas I used within that very session were got from Andre and the guys in the community when I just put a post on there saying, I'm creating this space sort of Vegas style sort of gambling system. What sort of things could I put in there? And I had numerous suggestions, one of which was the use of the drug days, which Andre put forward and got used in the session. So it's great to have this additional pool of support and ideas that you can pull on in the often quite difficult task of creating an enjoyable game. But as I said, my priority is always my players and my own enjoyment. So I'm going to see how the mechanic goes. I'm hoping that as we get more used to it, and following some advice, I've been given some great advice from the Facebook group from Tides of Change, that I'll be able to implement it a bit more smoothly, and that as we get used to it, it'll fade a little bit into the background and it'll become less obvious and less of an impediment to my players' enjoyment. So hopefully we'll press on with that. Also, I've started creating a character for Tashif's Dresden Files games, which is going to be running soon. I've even picked up copies of the 2 core books for that. There we are. And Tashif's game is going to be replacing, taking up the time slot of my Jadepunk campaign, which we recently wrapped up. And in fact, next week, because I'm away this week at a LARP event, we're going to be doing a last sort of roundup and chat about how we think things went in the Jadepunk campaign, you know, lessons that can be learned, things that were done well, etc. And after that, we're going to segue seamlessly into a session 0 for Tashif's game, where we'll be having to create the background, we'll be coming up with characters, we can get how they're all interwoven with each other and stuff like that. The game's going to be set in 1950s New York, and we're going to be sort of occult investigators. Now, I was torn for it between playing a Knight of the Fey Court or a Scion of a Power, which is effectively someone whose supernatural abilities come from something else or some other force or entity. And eventually I've leaned more towards the Scion of a Power, and I've come up with the concept of an aged old cop who works in a narcotics division. He's been struggling to bring down a vicious criminal and is injured in the line of duty when doing so, and makes this Faustian bargain to give him the strength to allow him to bring in this villain. In doing so, he unwittingly opens his soul to this demonic co-pilot, if you will, who's only too anxious to get the ability to affect the mortal world. And I'm sure Tashif will have great fun compelling that and playing that NPC, since I know he loves a good villain. So that should be very entertaining. However, as he's captured this guy and this criminal brags about the fact that due to the corruptness of the force he'll soon be back out on the streets again, my character took that first step into the shadows and took the law into his own hands, killing the person. So I'm planning on sort of working on playing that dichotomy of whether taking something that's wrong, i.e. the demon's powers, to ostensibly do something right, to arrest a criminal, taints the whole endeavour, or whether the ends justify the means. And I'm really looking forward to playing that. I've not really played a great deal of Dresden. I've only read a couple of the fiction books. I know Matthew's played quite a bit of it and he's really into it, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. Jenny's playing a White Court vampire, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure what Matthew is going to play since he's on holiday at the moment, but can't wait to find out what he's going to play. Looking forward to the session 0. That should be very entertaining. This week I'm off to a LARP event for the Lorien Trust system, hosted by the Jackals faction, which is the culmination of a Southlands plot set in the Kongassa, where part of it has been claimed by a group of ogres and Olog mages led by a huge beast called Amari Greytusk, and this plot's been going for ages. I mean, I can't even remember how many characters I've played since that plot started, but I do tend to die an awful lot at LARP. But it's finally the culmination of it. It's all come down to this event as they finally try and get rid of this Amari Greytusk. So I'm really looking forward to that. There's a few of my group going down, should be great fun. Always good to see them, have a few drinks, do some role play, do some foam sword fighting. Can't wait to get there and do that. Should be very enjoyable. And then pushing into next week, I'll be preparing for my Star Wars game, where the players are going to be moving. They're effectively trying to blag their way into Garuda the Hutt's base of operations so that they can take him out. And for that, I think I'm going to produce a sort of zone map. I'm not getting down to the level of like tactical miniatures and grids or anything like that, because that's not really my bag, but a nice zone map of the area should allow them to explore things a little bit more, track their progress a little bit more, and keep a track of everything that's going on. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Like I say, it's not actually be for a few weeks till the actual session, because various scheduling things, etc. But at least it'll give me more time to actually plan the session out as they try and work their way into Garuda's court under the pretense that Jarath has some information to attempt to buy his way back into Garuda's good graces. The real plan is that they're going to take out his droid control centre, since the paranoid Hutters largely eschewed biological minions, since he's getting so paranoid in his old age. He thinks everyone's out to get him, perhaps with good reason, as other parties are looking at his empire with eager eyes waiting for a sign of weakness. Once they've taken out this droid control centre, that will allow the Bandit Queen, who they've allied with, recently revealed to be Jarath's daughter, whom he thought was still captured by Garuda the Hutt, but whom actually escaped with the help of an unknown sponsor a few years previously. She'll then bring her forces into attack, and they'll hopefully take down Garuda. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that all works out. And until I see you next time, take care. That's been my vlog for this week. Bye bye.